Hello, welcome back everyone. Today we're into a Arma Hobby deluxe set. It's the Hurricane Mark II A/B/C. This is a gorgeous kit. It's a double duo, whatever you want to call it. It's actually one of the nicest kits I've done in years, just for the molding quality, the detail, everything. Really enjoyed this kit. There wasn't too many problems at all, and I did put in the effort on this one. And as just a quick aside, as a proposition on the value side of it, yeah, excellent. Because don't forget, you're getting two planes, you get all the masking, resin parts and so on. What I'm going to be doing here is a Hurricane Mark II-B. I call it snowy, but the technical term is winter scheme. And I think this was obviously Soviet Eastern Front, and on the box it says probably 26 Fighter Aviation Regiment. That one, I'll just have to take their word for it. Winter 1941-42. Straight off, there's a couple modifications because of the options on the variants for A, B and C, so I had to take off a couple extra bits on the wing. It's always handy to have those extra blades, especially the chisel one. You don't use it much, but it's one of those ones where when you do need it, it really makes the job easier. The wheel well, again, no problems at all with the fit. It's all perfect. I did add a little bit of extra detail work, but I'll probably do a bit more video or expand on what I did there. The detail work was on the manifold that goes through the wheel well on Hurricanes. So you can see here the fit, it's excellent, no problems at all. I've just come in with some aqueous, I think Mr. Hobby silver. The reason I went aqueous at the time was I was thinking about just doing a little bit more weathering and so on, but changed my mind halfway through. There is a little bit of, what would I say, complication in the sense that do read the instructions on how that goes together for the wheel well. It's nothing complicated, but it does have to be the right way up. What I did here is those separating panels, I actually didn't paint them because when I looked at prototype pics, they were always that sort of matte grey, at least what I could see. So it was a mix of bare metal and matte grey. You can see there where I've added in my little modelling of the manifold just with some styrene plastic tubing. I'm not sure it makes much difference. To be honest, I had a lot of fun doing this, just the sheer detail and delicacy of the moulding, especially 1/72nd. You can see there, even on the flight control or yoke, it actually made it a pleasure to work with. The wings, again, no dramas at all. This goes together, like I say, probably one of the best kits I've done in years, and I haven't even done a Hurricane. I can't remember. Maybe when I was a boy? I'm not sure. I know Hurricanes and Spitfires and so on are slowly getting less and less popular as time goes on, but you can't beat them as far as I'm concerned. And I've got an extra soft spot on the Hurricane. I think it's the one, technically it really won Battle of Britain, but it gets overshone by Spitfire. I think at the outbreak of the war, from memory, they were saying like 100 or 200 Spitfires and I don't know, there was plenty of Hurricanes, 600 or something like that. Okay, so here's one of the here's the resin molding that comes with the kit. I've already at this point taken out the cockpit seats. What I'm doing here is just painting them while they're still on the mold, the frame, whatever you call that. Just makes it easier. And we are talking some really small parts here, like pinhead size. Here I'm just using standard BS type green for the internals. And you can see the actual detail. The molding is superb. Right down to putting on that little gold dial. And I'm taking my time with this, and it's interesting when you enjoy the kit, you don't mind taking the time. When I get fed up, I start rushing a bit and just want it done. Adding just some basic, I wouldn't even call it weathering, it's almost detail. I'm not sure how rubberized those floors were in the Hurricane. So you can see the sort of level of minuteness that's coming in here. The dilemma on this is always that once I closed it up, I couldn't even really take decent photographs of it. It was that small. But like I say, I enjoyed it. I did have a little bit of trouble removing the parts, so just a heads up, be careful, because things can shoot off very quick, and these parts are so small. I'm not even on carpeted floor where I'm working, and it's very easy to lose stuff. Who knows where they go. So this is the sort of detail you're getting, and pretty impressed with that, even if I say so myself. It's very, very nice. I can't stress enough how impressed I was with Arma Hobby. So there's some CA super glue just to pull that resin part, or glue that resin part on. Decals to add a little bit of further detail into the cockpit. I got no issues with that. 1/72. It gives the indication of what's going on there, but as I say, once that canopy and everything's put together is on, you can barely see anything, and it's a shame in that sense, but yeah, it's still a lot of fun. I think anytime you're working with good materials, it makes it so much more enjoyable. So yeah, this one, there was a fair bit of detail that was going into it, and I'm going to say it again and again, I really enjoyed doing it. So there's just a bit of touch up, and you can see at 1/72, this is pretty cool how it comes together. The fuselage halves, excellent. It's probably one of the best fitting fuselage halves, like the two parts I've ever seen. It was good enough, or I shouldn't even say good enough. The precision on this was so good that without glue it held together, so it wasn't too tight or too loose. Most of the fitting on this kit really just held together. Just a quick one on this variant, there was a couple handles that had to be removed, so I didn't get the video for that, but no big deal. Just a little dab of putty, and not even that, and sand it back, and that's for the sides of the canopy. Usual stuff here, just cleaning up some of the sprue marks, but again, this I'd actually say, as fuselages go, this was perfect. I couldn't fault it at all. Absolutely perfect. So I'm just coming back, giving it a clean up, and again, because it is so well molded, I was taking my time, which is one of the reasons why there's probably been a bit of delay on this video. Obviously, with everything else going on, work and real life, I was quite happy to just spend an hour or two each evening over the last few weeks working on this. And that's always my dilemma. One is YouTube likes you to get videos out regularly, but that also means rushing, and that's not fun either. And especially like for something like this, which I really enjoyed. No great dramas here. Tailplane one piece. You'll see here. Again, there's that chisel blade. It's not something you use every day, but when you do need it, makes a huge difference. So you can see there how the tail goes together. No big surprises. So it slots in there. Again, no dramas at all with the fit. The only part I really maybe had a little bit of fit issues was on the clear canopy part itself, the front windshield. But even that was nothing. It was just when you go perfect through the build, and it's like 98%, it becomes noticeable. That's how good it was. I think that's the oil cooler radiator anyway. So yeah, that was probably a 99% fit. This is my standard Spitfire Sky, and it seemed to match. I'm not an expert on Russian colors, but again, I didn't get too worried about it. Just, I think especially for those wartime ones, So long as you're in the zone, it's going to be good. Here I'm just masking up so that I can come across and get that white down on there. Again, I'm using lacquer paints. I've sort of migrated to them over the years. The masking becomes much simpler. And interestingly, when I do go back to using standard acrylics and so on, I do get a bit impatient with drying times. The lacquer is very fast drying and they're durable, which just makes anything like this masking easier. For things like the wheel well and the canopy, I just dampen some scraps of paper towel and fit it in. It tends to just mold. For the cockpit itself, there you can see I've done the same thing and added in a bit of masking tape. No issues at all here. I keep saying it, I was really enjoying this. What I've done here is I've come across to do, I'm not sure why they did it, I guess it was whatever they were thinking at the time, on the rudder there. This is just MIG ammo, I think just an olive and a brown just stippled on, and really at this point it goes pretty quick. It's not a heavy decal plane, there's not a lot of signage, and there's the stars going on. This is the part I like because this is when it really starts to look cool. On the under wings, I did just cut some almost random circle shapes out of a piece of masking tape to get those grey blue circles to put the stars on. No great dramas there. It wasn't even in the category of really needing a lot or being even interesting enough to film it. So just positioning, there's some, what would you call them? I don't know the technical term, walkway decals on each side of the wing or the cockpit. Yeah, standard stuff at this point. Just putting on your decals, soaking up the excess water, and then some softener. I do need to play around a bit more with the microsole. I've bought it, but I've never really got into it as much. I tend to use Mr. Hobby propeller. Again, nothing standard. I suppose one of the interesting things there is that I've migrated to doing the yellow tips first when they're needed, and doing it that way rather than obviously coming in with the black and then trying to do yellow on top of the black. The wheels, again, the kit, it's a deluxe kit, so it comes with nice masking. That actually made the build go a lot smoother. I use rubber and tires from MIG acrylic, and the reason there is I actually think it looks better. In this part here, what I'm doing is I didn't have any clear orange, so obviously yellow and clear red, and I prefer the Tamiya. So I think different manufacturers have good and bad. The Tamiya clears I think are really good. What I've done here, and I'm not quite sure why ArmaHobby did it this way, but it wasn't a big deal once you psych yourself up, is just clip out the wing sections for the navigation lights. The only thing I'd say there is it's much easier to take off too little and file it to fit. So don't go crazy hacking on your wings at that point. And then it was just manipulation. This is just white glue basically. I think it was canopy glue, but over the years it's thickened a bit. I actually prefer it thicker. It tends to stay in place. There's landing lights. I did put a drop of, I think it was just acrylic silver inside, so it gives a really nice effect, as you can see there. It actually does look like there's lights inside, I guess the perspex or glass, whatever they were using at the time. The undercarriage, I added a little hydraulic line. As I say, you can barely see it. We're talking, I can't remember whatever thickness here. It was minuscule type stuff. But because I was enjoying the build so much, I actually did put that extra detail in. Have to forgive my terrible camera work, but this was really detailed stuff at this point. The undercarriage, did have me baffled at first, and there is a bit of fiddling, but interestingly, you've almost got that, trying to remember my first year engineering, like 3-point mounting there. I would say definitely dry fit your undercarriage if you're doing this, because you will see that it seems confusing at first how it all goes together, but it's definitely really solid once it's done. So here's some pictures of the final build. I do hope you've enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to doing the 2B with the horse or dog or whatever it is. And as usual, like, comment, subscribe. Always enjoy hearing your thoughts and opinions. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm not sure what the next video will be, but yeah, I'm probably looking at, I think it's a Brewster Buffalo, or maybe actually, or there's an FW sitting on the bench, so who knows. Anyway, have fun, like to hear from you all, and enjoy your modeling, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again. Bye bye.